taking matters into his own hands.
This is the action. And that's the result.
But this United team will have something to say about it. Golding from the corner hits the side of the backboard.
Better get it over the centre line. Yes, you should foul him. Foul him.
They don't foul Magnay. McDonald lays it up. That might be enough. Melbourne need a quick bucket. Clark can't score. Porty falls over. Time ticking away for United. Last roll of the dice. Goal! McDonald inbound. Oh my. Galvin knocks it away. Tasmania have done it. The island has its title. And the Jack Jumpers, in their third season, are NBL champions in one of the all-time great grand final series.
Hello everybody and welcome. They are the Tasmanian Jack Jumpers and they are the NBL champions in season NBL 24. 3 years in this wonderful league and now they stand atop it with the trophy. What a series, what a season, what a game, what moments. Now we're about to break it all down. Hashtag NBL Overtime to get involved. Will Magnay to join us in around 15 minutes time. Leonard Copeland knows what this feels like, don't you?
What a
hello
series. What a year. What a team. Fantastic.
Liam Santamaria, hello to you, man.
Hello, man. I'm very good. Very good. Congratulations to the Jack Jumpers, the Ant Army, everyone in Tasmania. From day dot, I knew you guys would be champions.
Oh, look at him.
Right
Look at this guy.
right around the corner. And
Hey,
you
we're
got
all
it done.
marching, but you last year the whole state hated you. You got on the bandwagon.
that didn't happen.
It's done, beautifully done. Now we're going to break it down quarter by quarter because this is the type of game. It's very hard to break down a series this wonderful. So we've just tried to contain it to 4 10-minute quarters, which is remarkable to try and do. And we have to do it to give the type of credit this game deserves.
Well, it was an epic game. It was an epic series. Like you said, it was an epic season, and it came down to an epic series. We kind of forget about how good those semi-final series were. But then we landed Game 5. Big play right off the top.
Yep.
Because it was that first foul on Joe Lawal. Then Melbourne got absolutely rolling, and it started to look like, Copes, that they were going to just put the foot to the pedal.
Absolutely. Travis got going. JLA had a couple of nice plays. And I said, this series could be over. But the Jack Jumpers the whole year have held their composure. The whole year. And they always, that's the left-hand runner, hook, whatever you want to call it. Nothing but net.
That was nice.
Yeah, they were brilliant. Luke Travers was really aggressive. So was JLA early, as you see them mix up again there. But this whole quarter was about one man. And it's this guy. And there's individual moments and individual performances in all great games around the world that keeps the title still alive. And in the first quarter, when Melbourne United, in front of a packed crowd, was doing what they were doing right there, Jordan Crawford just did whatever he wanted and kept them in the title race.
He was absolutely phenomenal. So 16-6, Melbourne got up 18-8. And then you're right, 19 first quarter points from Jordan Crawford. Spectacular display in such a huge moment, Coach.
Absolutely. You wouldn't expect that because Melbourne have such good defensive guards. You would think Dean would have called timeout and said, look, somebody get this guy. But he was in one of those zones, Liam. He was in one of those zones. I don't care who they put on him. He got himself going.
Well, you've been there, Coach. You've been in that zone, in a grand final deciding game. What is going through your mind? It's just like, get me the pill?
You just see different things, man. The whole hoop, the ring is that big.
Yeah.
You just want to put the ball in the hole, and that's how I looked with him. I mean, he got going.
Well, he did, but Melbourne had 31 points on the board.
Yeah.
So they were leading by 5, 31-26, and the Tassie Jack Jumpers go into that huddle say, man, thank goodness for JC. But also, man, we're really going to have to crank the screws up here at the defensive end.
And they did that the second quarter.
Well, they always did that all year when it was required.
Yeah.
Because it was very un-Jack Jumper basketball in the first quarter. It was on the back of the merits of one particular man who was incredible. Would Scott Roth have been happy at quarter time that they're close enough, or disappointed that they hadn't been able to play their type of ball?
Well, I reckon he would have been happy about the fact that during the off-season, when they decided, okay, we're going to move on from a Jet. He's been great for us. We're going to bring in Jordan Crawford, because at times, when we're not rolling at the offensive end, and maybe we're not getting the type of stops that we usually get, we fall away from games. Yeah. And we need another guy that can kind of tick it over. And in that huge moment, that recruitment paid off in huge
You know
dividends.
what's great about Roth, though? Even though they scored 31 points in that first quarter, you don't see him get upset with his players.
No.
Like, you see a lot of coaches go in at their players. He's the calmest coach I've ever seen. He comes to the sideline. He takes a second to think about what he's going to say. He writes something down. He shows it. And they go out and do it.
Yeah.
So when you got that kind of relationship with your coach and your players, you're always going to be great.
Yeah, the conversation coming into the grand final series was about Jordan Crawford, because he hadn't necessarily set the world on fire and got to the same heights in the playoffs that he did in the regular season in particular.
He started off well, though. He started
really well.
Yeah.
Started really well. His game 2 was outstanding as well in that first quarter. Let's get to the second quarter, because whilst he cooled down a little bit, he was still instrumental in pushing the score for the Jack Jumpers. Chris Golding had scored right by on the quarter time buzzer rather, and started out with a little flow. But this is when everything changed, because he was so focused. The whole Melbourne United was focused on this particular guy. When he's hitting these type, or at least taking these type of shots, everything else kind of fell away a little bit, Coach.
No hesitation at all. And again, like we said, they held Melbourne to 13 points in this quarter.
Yep.
So obviously, if they're scoring on one end and they're holding these guys to 13, they're going to have a chance.
This was big, because in this quarter, which was really low scoring, that's when Jack McVeigh just kind of got himself into the game. They got him into his spots in the block, and he started to find his rhythm in there. And
Sorry, Len. This last 4 minutes here, was huge for the JJs, because they essentially stopped Melbourne United from gaining any major momentum into halftime.
What was that? Was it a knee on knee?
A little knee on knee, I think, yeah. So you can see the score there. And they were already on 41 with 4.5 minutes to go. So the JJs, this is when they really gave themselves an opportunity, because the whole thing changed and it became a Jack Jumper type basketball game compared to Melbourne United.
Well, I'll tell you, when you give up 31 in the first quarter, and then you only give up 13 in the second, you've got things back on track. And this was that was a frustration from Gotti, because he picked up his third foul.
Yeah.
So you've got Joe Chul on 3, you've got Chris Golding on 3, and you're all tied up at halftime.
And then going into that locker room, tied up on the road, game 5, you got to feel good about yourself, because you play well in that stadium. They always come in and play well in that stadium. So to have that lead tied up, going in there, Roth giving his little speech, you coming out
his
fired
little
up.
speech from the little speech.
No. Big Island, bro. You're not going to get me in trouble.
Again, Coach, I'm going to refer to you, because you've been in this situation, right? At game 3, Perth. And once you've taken the crowd out of it, which Melbourne used really well in the first quarter, it was subdued in the second quarter for everyone in the stadium could feel it. The tension comes with an elimination, do or die game. You get to halftime when you're in relatively good shape, not necessarily in front, but the crowd isn't exactly, we're going nuts here. What goes through your mind as a player?
Well, your leaders come in. Back in my day, it was Gazy and Bracky and those guys saying, look, guys, we're still in this. We need to clean this thing up a little bit here, clean it up there. Let's try to get whoever's going, let's try to get them going, continue to get them good shots, and play hard defense, give ourselves a chance. And that's what they did, man. They came out and played well in that third quarter.
I don't want to skip through the third quarter, but let's get through it pretty quickly, because the fourth quarter is where it all played out. But here we go. We see we're all tied up after 20 minutes. And there he is, the Larry Stenstock medalist, doing what he does at one end, and Shea Ili at the other end. And all of a sudden, it just started to open up just a little bit. It's, maybe fatigue or the adrenaline started to wear off a bit. And big Porty, the next star, Liam Santamarina's guy there. But
15 rebounds.
Yeah, he was big. You called for him to play some more minutes, and he played a little bit more. But it just felt from here we were set for some type of classic with the way that third quarter was going.
Well, you won't see it on these clips because they're predominantly offensive highlights, but Melbourne's D sort of started to get on top in this second quarter. And so as a result, they go in with a 4-point lead at three-quarter time. And they cut a couple of these plays late because you saw the margin was starting to blow out a little bit. So that one that fell into Doyle's hands was healthy.
That was his first 2 points of the game. Late going into the third quarter, in the third quarter, so he got himself going as well. And you always knew they were going to be in the game.
And the three from Krislevich in the corner here was huge.
He missed one right before that. And
this catch right here, they needed it because, they were trying to come back here and try to keep it close. And, there you see the finish from Joe Loire. They go in leading by 4.
I actually think that Krislovic missing the 3, then making another one, epitomises what Scott Roth does for these players. Right? So he misses one. Melbourne seemed fairly keen and comfortable to let him shoot the exact same shot. Nothing but twine. And it gives them a little bit of momentum. And I just felt at that time, this is what every single player steps on the court has the backing of Scott Roth in the biggest of moments, and that I felt was a perfect example of it.
Makes a massive difference, too. When a coach has that kind of confidence in his 8th, 9th, 10th player, you got to understand, back in my day, 7 guys played, the other guys sat on that bench.
Yeah, well, you didn't even pass to the 9th player for game on the floor.
You bring these other guys in and they're shooting and knocking down threes,
knocking them down.
5. That's confidence.
The thing is, though, right, it's the beauty of hindsight. We know because we're Monday morning, we're Tuesday evening quarterbacks. We know the Jack Jumpers won. So we're Jack Jumpers this, Jack Jumpers that. A couple of minutes into this fourth quarter, Melbourne United are leading by 9.
I think the whole stadium, and I was in it, and I felt it, I thought this game was done. I thought Melbourne United up 9. Let's roll this fourth quarter highlight and see if we can make any sense of it, because they most certainly, different to the Sunday previous, where the JJ started the fourth quarter really well, this was Melbourne United's first probably 3 or 4 minutes, and you just felt it. Illy for 3, bang. Look at that score. They're up 7, 8 minutes to go. There we go, 9 up. 8 minutes to go in the season at home. Joint going absolutely ballistic, and all of a sudden the JJs do, Leonard Copeland, what the JJs do.
Just playing complete, in control is what I like to say about them. They don't panic.
That's huge.
They never
that is
panic
monster.
offensively or
Leads
defensively.
to Jordan Crawford 3.
100%.
So the lead was going to be 8. Could have been 8 at home. It's a 5-point turnaround. All of a sudden the JJs get the belief. McVeigh does what he does. Gets to wherever he wants to go. Now we're getting late. We're all tied up. So in 2 minutes, a 9, I think it was a 10-1 run in 2 minutes.
That could have been a foul as well. That last play could have been a foul.
So this next play for me is epitomises everything. Right, so this is Magnay, one-on-one, puts him in the bucket.
Tails in.
But down this play here, Magnay doesn't just do his own thing. McVeigh doesn't just do his own thing. They get through their stuff and they get the and one from Doyle.
And then their defense went up another notch as well. They could get a little wet sail all the way to the bucket. Very angry Dean Vickerman at that point, because that was as easy as you can get in a fourth quarter of a grand final. Down 4, 2 minutes to go. Dellavedova, who'd been on the bench prior to that. Sean McDonald, most improved player in the league, can't finish it. And all of a sudden, Melbourne United a chance again, but they just don't get anything offensively late, Liam, that epitomises what a championship team can do.
Well, they had 4 straight empty possessions in a big moment. 5 empty possessions from 6 consecutive possessions, Cope. So they went a little individual at the offensive end. They hurried a little bit
some shots.
until this one from Hukporti, and he knocks the free throw down and he cuts it to 1.
And it's leading to a 47.8 second nervous time for everyone, not just JJs and United fans, but I think a neutral anyway. Too easy for Milton Doyle, the superstar who was quiet early. A pretty tough shot by Chris Golding from a sideline play, and then all of a sudden we thought, you know what? The JJs are going to win a title. Up 5, and they're going to do it easy. Ian Clark, tough shot. No good. Rush shot. Hukporti dives on it. Golding's got to get a move on. 20 seconds, what's he going to do? The bank's open on a Sunday, and all of a sudden this magical season gets extended to this. And Matthew Dellavedova, for the second straight game, the championship was on a half-court heave.
Yep.
Jack McVeigh probably a little closer than half-court. And the JJs are the champions.
Liam, what were you thinking on that Delhi shot? What were you thinking?
I was thinking, imagine if this goes in. Because we saw the Jack McVeigh shot. I felt the same when McVeigh had the look to win the title in Tassie. I thought, man, it just doesn't. It wouldn't shock me if this went in after what's been an unbelievable season. And then I thought, here we go again. It's coming down. And then the ball felt like it sailed through the air for quite a long time. Hard off the glass. And then the reality set in that the Jack Jumpers were celebrating.
And again, you want to give Melbourne credit, because for the whole year they were in first place. We talked about them every day. Every Tuesday we talked about them because they deserve to be talked about. They had a great season. But it's so hard to stay in first place and win it all the way through. It is, because you got guys coming at you every time you step on the floor.
True. I will say, just on the Dellavedova shot, I was sitting under the bucket that he was throwing towards, and I thought, this is how the season ends. I was actually more surprised it missed, based on everything we have seen, not just in this series, in the semi-final series all year. We see the McVeigh shot. We then see what happened. Like, we're not even going to talk too much about Game 4. They led by 5 with 2 minutes to go, Tasmania, and they were going to win a championship on their home court. And then all of a sudden, Melbourne are able to turn that away with a bad inbounds and a steal. It almost surprised me as much at the half-court heave to win a national NBL championship missed than it actually did.
Well, I thought it was kind of nice, actually, that the season finished on Daly's hand. Because if you remember, back to the Blitz, he was the story of the Blitz.
Yep.
They won the Blitz, Melbourne United. He was absolutely out. Was he the Ray Borner?
I think he might have been.
Might have been.
Either way, he dominated that Blitz. If
The
he didn't
story
get it,
was that it was the Matthew Dellavedova revenge
And he had a
tour.
great season as well. He had a fantastic
And a
season.
great series. And a great series. Now, McVeigh was terrific.
get
And
there.
so were a bunch of other guys, but he had a really good series.
Let's touch on Jack McVeigh, because we talk a lot about Jack McVeigh. We know he comes into the league, he's at Adelaide, coming out of a collegiate career, and he is what he is. He gets down to Tasmania, and he just changes everything. Himself, his team, every single time, even in the series against Perth, in that third quarter, or even late in the second quarter in Game 2, when they needed buckets, he was the guy. And this is exactly what happened in this series. He's an incredibly well-deserved
Greatest shot in NBL history?
greatest shot in NBL history,
Greatest
Coach.
shot in
Are you there now,
You've
Coach?
come around.
I'm there.
It took Liam 2 days. It took you about 9. But
They had to
we
win a
got there.
championship
Yeah,
for that to be the best shot.
Fair enough.
You know, McVeigh, though, reminds me of a kid who just loves, eats, and sleeps basketball.
It feels it.
He's one of those guys that just wants to have fun on the basketball court. So he's not worried about failing. He's not worried about missing shots. He just wants to be on the court. And that's why he's had the year he's had so far.
But I think anyone who's come across his writing and his newsletter and everything that he's about nowadays, and we touched on this last week, what you just said, every shot he takes, every game he is involved in, he believes he can win or make that shot because of it. And I think the perfect example of the player he's evolved into and the player we see now.
Yeah, the thing I love about Jack McVeigh, he's so solid. And it epitomises the way the Jack Jumpers go about their business, right? And they're the best in the league at next play mentality, next game mentality. And he epitomises that. Now, back in Adelaide, that wasn't who he was.
He still was a good player, though.
Absolutely, he was a good player, and he had the potential to have a really good future. But he was the energy guy. He was kind of highly strung. He was riding every play like it meant the world. Now it's just next play, next play. Make the shot to win it, turn around like that's what I do.
Yeah.
Miss the shot to win it, turn around like that's okay, move on to the next game.
Yeah.
He's always there when you need him, and he came through big for him.
Huge. Now, I'm not a stats guy, as we all know, but we have used the word epitomised in the first segment 5 times, and I've never used it before on this show, so that's what the grand final does for us. Now, before we go to the break, Will Magnay is going to join us next.
Who?
Will Magnay. Okay. Will Magnay is going to join us next.
Right.
I was going to give a shout out, and he deserves one to Brad Newley.
Yes.
Because this is an incredible career that has ended 20 years, highest level, 2-time Olympian. So, Brad, you are superstar. I know you're hurting right about now, but we love you. And do not be lost to the game. Make sure you're involved. Melbourne United, we want you in the NBL commentary crew as well. So, you have been a superstar. I speak for every single basketball fan in this country. Thank you. Thank you for everything you have done.
Well done, man. Well done.
Yep, for sure.
Will Magnay.
Got it
Haven't had
right.
much sleep.
Did you drink with the boys?
No, I did not. They didn't want me anywhere near them, and fair enough too. He will join us next right here on NBL Overtime. Magnay, Will Magnay is his name, and on this particular show, he's been nicknamed a couple of things. Most famously, I suppose, Liam, when our man Corey dubbed him Two-Way Magnay, ironically, in Tasmania in 2019 at the Blitz. We've seen him do some remarkable things in the NBL and, of course, abroad. Many a nickname, also positive, but if you're going to talk about him right now or talk to him like we are about to do, you got to include NBL champion as well, and it is our pleasure to welcome him to this show, Will Magnay. Congratulations, man. Welcome back to NBL Overtime.
Hey.
Thank you, guys. Thank you. Thanks for having me.
Hey, we ask all the hard-hitting questions here, mate. You've been a champion for about 50 hours now. Just out of those 50 hours, how many hours of sleep have you been able to have?
Yeah, I think I got about 6 total. So it's been tough, but obviously enjoying it and just soaking it all in while we can.
Good stuff, Will. Hey, congratulations, mate. Describe what it feels like. Describe what it means to you, man, to be an NBL champion.
Yeah, I mean, it's obviously special. I think it was the way we did it, which was special, and which kind of made it, feel like we really, really earned it and did it the way that the Tasmanians would do it, which was play as many possible games as you can in the season, and it come down to a half-court heave to escape it. So yeah, amazing feeling, and just seeing the support and how happy we've made just the state of Tasmania has been an awesome thing to see as well.
Well, congratulations. Mate, talk to us about the team. Why is this team so special? Why are you guys able to get along so well?
Yeah, it's a funny one. I think we never really took ourselves too seriously. We always respected the game, respected the job, but had a lot of fun doing it, and we were just willing to laugh at each other and laugh at ourselves. And I think it created this camaraderie and a togetherness within the group. And obviously we're all talented, and every team's talented and skilled. And I think if you look back in the season, it's just 4 or 5 possessions could have changed the whole thing, and we came out on top. So amazing experience, amazing group of guys, and pretty happy we got a core locked away for the next few years.
The belief that this team seems to have, Will, is extraordinary. Down 15 in Game 2, down big in Game 2 to Perth in that semi-final series, down in big moments in a grand final series. But the belief, have you ever been on a team that has so much belief that it's going to work out in your way as long as you stick together? Because, again, down 9 in the fourth quarter in Game 5, but there's always a calming feeling about the team. Have you ever experienced it prior to this?
Nah, I haven't. To be honest, I hate it. I'd rather be up 15. It can be pretty stressful at times, but I think in those times we're still getting good looks, and we just have little breakdowns, and there's nothing that's worrying about the way other teams are scoring on us or playing. So I think that's what's the belief is. If we just stick to our process, we'll be all right. And And Roth sort of instilled in us from day one. It's not about the wins or losses, it's about how you go about it. And I think that stuck with especially me, is just swinging until the end. And when you got sort of 9 other dudes on the team that are going to go down swinging with you, you feel all right about it.
For sure. Hey, Will, we just saw the final moments right there, man. When Daly's shot was in the air, what were you thinking?
I don't know if I'm allowed to swear on this show, but don't go in. And it's always hard from that sideline angle. Everything looks straight and good.
Yeah.
It's like, oh my, please no. But yeah, that would have been crazy to have two half-court game winners in a series. But yeah, amazing, man. And sort of, it's funny when you watch it again. There's about 2 seconds where the whole team stops and thinks, "Oh wait, did we just win?" Mm-hmm. And it just sort of settled in, and yeah, amazing experience, amazing feeling.
Let's just go back 7 days earlier, Will, to Jack McVeigh's shot. What's going through your mind there? You're on the road, there's 8 seconds to go, you don't have the ball, and everything changes in a matter of 10 seconds. And when I say everything, in control of the series you become. But he just dribbles down, full belief, goes between the legs, jacks it from half court, and you lead 2-1. What goes through your mind in watching that nice and close?
Well, if you watch my face on the bench, stress, I think I have my hands up and panicking the whole time. But it's just, you just think, oh, I hope it goes in. They made a mistake, and you capitalize. What else can you think?
True.
Like he's dribbling, he puts it between his legs. I'm like, holy shit, he's going to shoot a 3, and then he shoots a 3 and it goes in, and it's like, oh. Sweet. Oh, we won that one. Yeah, so there's not much you can really think in those moments other than he got a good look, heavily contested, but, he got it through his legs and felt in rhythm, and he backs himself, so I back him.
Right. Speaking of panic, after the first game, you lose by 23 points. How was the team camaraderie then? I mean, what did you guys talk about?
Yeah, it wasn't it was funny, right? Like, we kind of walked in the locker room and we're like, oh, well, that's not how we play. Like, that was a bit of an anomaly of the year. I think that was our worst loss of the year, and the only one by double digits. And it wasn't anything we panicked about. And Scott kind of came in the next day. He goes, yeah, I think we'll be sort of 50% better just based off energy. I think it'd been a long sort of postseason for us already with trips to Perth and whatnot. Not that that's an excuse to lose a game, but I think we were just a bit flat. So I think we actually brought a lot of confidence out of that game, which is funny after getting smacked around. But they were also hitting everything, and it just felt like the world was against us in that one. And yeah, we just stuck to our process, didn't overthink it, went through the review. What could we get better at? How can we continue to grow? And yeah, just stuck to our process.
Well, we've kind of buried the lead here a little bit because you were the Angus Glover story of Game 5 on Sunday. The Dermot Brereton, you were that grand final hero who played through pain. First minute of the game, you slip a little, then you get your foot caught, your shoe caught, you lose your shoe, your sock, you slide on the floor and you're grabbing your hamstring, and you were clearly the whole rest of the game severely hobbled. And then you had huge plays down the stretch where you backed Joe Luala-Chul down and threw it down on his head, where you're on the floor trying to get the ball and then you bounce back up and you block it at the rim. But when you were getting up and down the floor, we could see you were having a hard time. You don't need to pretend anymore because there's no more games to be played. Talk us through exactly what you were feeling and what you were playing through.
Yeah, it obviously slipped, and then the sock, obviously, you don't stop on the floor. So I just felt it, I'm not dynamic enough to be able to do the splits. So my hamstring said, don't do that. I felt a little pop, which was weird. And then it was just really, really tight, and felt like whenever I went to push off and sort of stride out, it was going to tear, is essentially what it felt like. If that would have happened, I don't know. But in the half court, I felt actually okay. Like on the floor, getting up and down was the tough part. So every time Huck Porty started running, I was like, oh my God, please don't get a dunk. But yeah, I just couldn't really stride out and be as powerful, I guess, as I wanted to be. But I only had 38 minutes of a season left, so I wasn't going to go down without trying. So Scott said, you all right? I said, yeah, I'll go until I can't go. And then he just put some faith in me and was able to make some plays late. But yeah, it was. I don't really remember much of the game, to be honest. I was just managing pain.
The hammy feel okay on the dance floor, did it Sunday night?
Yeah, the old alcohol blanket covered that one up for me. So definitely woke up feeling it the next day, though. So
it's been masking my deficiencies for many a year, Will, so don't worry about that.
Yeah, lucky I got some time off, I'll tell you how much.
Let's talk about the fans. I was lucky enough to be in Tasmania for Game 4. It was brilliant. And every Game 4 of a grand final or Game 6 of the season in the middle of December, like the fans are huge. And to be able to get back to the airport yesterday and then, of course, the Pac Derwent, My State Bank Arena, when you get back there and be presented to the crowd. These fans are a huge reason as to why this club is so successful, right?
Well, yeah, it's incredible. And I think we try to embody the spirit of Tasmania as much as we can, which is hardworking, family-driven, and, support each other and love each other. And that's all they do for us. But, they're next level crazy as well. I think, watching the presentations back, there was about 2,000 still at John Cain watching us, and it's just madness. And, we wouldn't be able to do what we do and bring the energy we have without their support. So it's, they're crazy and we love it. And it's just amazing.
Well, now your team has won a championship. Would you like to see this same team come back next year? Or what do you think you guys need to compete again next year?
Yeah, that's an interesting question. Like, it was, yes, we won a championship, but there was like some turbulent moments in the season where it was like, oh, are we going to ever get back on track? So I think just bringing the same team back can almost be a bit of fool's gold, but that stuff's way above my pay grade. I'll leave that to the coaches, and Scott's done a fairly decent job recruiting so far, so I trust him to bring in some good players if whatever changes need to be made. And at the end of the day, whatever happens, my job doesn't change. I come in and play as hard as I can, and try and drag everyone else along with me. So I'm just going to try and enjoy this moment while it lasts, and then worry about the next season when it comes around.
And you should, mate. That's exactly the way you should do. Live in the moment, which means probably not a great deal of sleep, a lot of partying over the next week or so, but on the back of that, have a great rest. Of course, the extension, you're a jack jumper, and we can't wait to see you defend the island and the title in NBL 25, mate. Congratulations again.
Thank you, guys. Appreciate it.
Superstar. Will Magnay, and a championship-winning star for the Jack Jumpers. We're going to squeeze a break in. On the other side of it, plenty of news kicking around. Olgun Uluc to join us from ESPN. Wild endings, and that, remarkably, if you've never seen NBL Overtime all of this season before, that was just the last 3 games. I'm already fired up for NBL 25, as is our man, Olgun Uluc in the house, ESPN Zone. Hello, buddy.
Hello. Out of those 3 inbounds passes, I think I could have inbounded one of them.
Okay, all right, okay.
I could have found my team out of one of them.
All right, sure.
I mean, put a big on the floor and I'll find that guy, but yeah.
For people who are a little bit down on inbound passing, hang around because Can't Cope makes a comeback in about 10 minutes' time. And I believe inbound passing might be part of where our man's going to go. All right, before all of that, though, let's start with Nathan Sobey because late Thursday night after Game 4, there was some whispers getting around the marketplace. Got it right this week, didn't I, the marketplace?
Well done.
Friday morning, you had to do an emergency marketplace, I believe, and Nathan Sobey mutually out of Brisbane and maybe headed down to Melbourne. What can you tell us?
Yeah, I don't know if we're supposed to reveal how the sausage is made. We did that marketplace from some obscure room inside My State Bank Arena.
Oh, okay.
In preparation of the next day. Nathan Sobey parted ways with the Brisbane Bullets. That's a mutual release of Nathan Sobey, and that clears the way for him to go ahead and sign with the Southeast Melbourne Phoenix for NBL 25. And so you've got Nathan Sobey, an Olympian, one of the top scorers of last season, headed to the Phoenix. They paid a small buyout fee for his services, and so now, at least on paper right now, you've got Sobey and Creek as your 2 sort of marquee level Australians on that Phoenix team.
What changed? They pick up the option on Sobey a couple of weeks ago, and now here we are, he's moving to a different team.
That was an auto pickup of that option, so a date passed, and so they automatically picked up that option. There was, from what I understand, Sobey had a desire to extend. The Bullets didn't really have that desire. They sort of wanted to see how the season played out first. I think at that point, Sobey saw the writing on the wall, indicated that, okay, if I'm not wanted here long term, then maybe a change of scenery is in my future. And then it just took the Bullets finding a team that was interested and figuring out how to make that work. The second trade of the season so far.
So just, again, I say this a lot. I'm a simple man. Why would they not have these conversations prior to that auto pickup date?
I think I honestly don't know the answer to that. The thing is, this whole circumstance happened pretty quickly after that auto pickup. And so this wasn't something that's been brewing for a while. After that happened, it happened really quick. And that's how this ended up playing out.
Our man picked this.
He did.
You were all over this a couple of weeks ago.
Well,
we changed the scenery, guys, and you said Nathan Sobey should go somewhere else.
And I think he made the right move. I still don't know if that's the right team, though.
Okay.
I mean, they got to rebuild. I don't know if that's the right coach for him. I think that Mike Kelly's a great coach. I know Mike. He's a great player, great coach. Sobey's a great player as well. But I think Sobey needs someone to grab him and say, Sobey, I need this from you, to shake him a little bit because he's a superstar. We know he can play when he has that Joey Wright type coach pushing him on.
Yeah, look, there's a little bit, I feel, of Andre Lamanis in Mike Kelly, kind of calm and poised.
Yeah.
And he was a runner-up MVP under Andre Lamanis one of those years.
Yeah.
Okay, so what does that mean for Brisbane? Like Will McDowell-White, let's just link them in here because Will McDowell-White, of course, is, as we know, possibly looking to change clubs and what you reported last week. So what does that mean for Brisbane? They've got someone, if you can let Nathan Sobey go, mutually, then the fact is that at some point you're going to have someone fairly high profile and explosive to be able to replace him. So are they into someone that we don't know about?
So I'll put this out there. This hasn't happened with someone in mind or with someone already locked in. There is no corollary between Nathan Sobey and a potential Will McDowell-White signing in Brisbane. That's not a connection that I'm drawing. It's not that we'll let him go because we have something lined up. They do have an idea of what they want. Right now they freed up some cash. They can go search for a high-level import point guard who can be their Parker Jackson Cartwright, their Jalen Adams. They want that. They're Casper Ware. Or I don't know if it'll be Casper Ware.
I'm just saying.
But it'll be that.
Oh, here we go.
Now,
I'm just throwing names out there.
All right.
if it happens.
No.
You still mates with Darren McDonald? Are you still mates with D-Mac?
Assistant coach of the Bullets.
I know him a little bit.
All right.
So
Sorry, Olgun.
So they can go ahead and chase that sort of player, and they now have more money to spend on that sort of player.
All of a sudden, they're a more likely landing spot for Will McDowell.
Right. There's room for
Right?
him.
They've got more cap space to use now.
Technically, yes. They have more cap space. The asking price for Will McDowell-White, assuming he doesn't opt into his player option, is very, very high. That I'm still not drawing there's still no corollary between the decision that got made on Sobey and a potential of Will McDowell-White signing.
Tuna, filet mignon. They got filet mignon now on the menu, so now when it comes to Brisbane, they can feed him well.
Coach, only moments ago, Coach asked Will Magnay about how the roster looks and bringing everyone back, and I thought Will answered that particularly well. Let's have a look at Tasmania and how their roster actually looks contract-wise heading into NBL 25. There it is. That's who the contract. Of course, Milton Doyle and McVeigh headlined perfectly. Magnay, of course, didn't sign too long ago. So there's all the off contracts. So the conversation is probably going to start with the imports, I assume, Olgun.
So when I look at this, the thing that I like is that this Jack Jumpers team that just won a championship brings back the basic entirety of their local core. From Sean McDonald, Jack McVeigh, Will Magnay. So they bring those guys back. Anthony Drimmick is in that off-contract section. He's off-contract, but I understand there's mutual desire to bring him back. And so it does come down to those imports, Jordan Crawford and Marcus Lee. I look at Jordan Crawford, someone who I think was sort of volatile over the course of the season, had his really impact moments, especially in Game 5. I don't know if it's a certainty that he comes back. I know that the Jack Jumpers are a team that's super interested in Will McDowell-White as well. So you can imagine bringing him into the mix.
White now, huh?
Because there is value in bringing in a high-level local point guard, someone big who you can put in there, marquee him. There is potential for this Jack Jumpers team to turn into what we just saw from Melbourne United, which was just super local heavy.
But again, when you go chase superstars, you got to make sure they fit. I mean, as bad as Jordan was mid-season, he started off great. He went into a slump. They wouldn't have that ring.
No, they wouldn't.
Jordan right now.
So if Will
You want
McDowell...
Jordan Crawford or Will McDowell-White next season, Tassie?
I want the same team. I mean, why change it? I mean, maybe you add a couple of small pieces on the outside, but they work so well together. We've seen this with DJ Hogue, and we've seen this with other guys that leave teams and go play for different coaches. It's a different system now.
Yeah, grass is
You're not going to get the
greener.
same. You're not going to get the same guy, playing under a different system.
Which brings us to Majuk Deng,
Yeah.
I think. Is there a chance somebody swoops in and picks Majuk Deng up, or does he feel like Copes is sort of saying, like, you know what, I've found a place here that kind of
Works for me. It works for me.
He will be one of the sought-after free agents this offseason. There are teams around the league that want someone like him. You got to think of some of these stretch fours that are now off the market. Well, you got Quat Noi, who re-upped in Sydney.
Yep.
Someone like Kyron Galloway is someone that teams are looking at as, can we get this stretch four sort of guy, this guy who can maybe protect the rim a little bit, can really stretch it. Majuk Deng is one of those guys. We saw in the Coca-Cola cool down at the end of Game 5. I'm getting the sponsors in. We saw how much this team meant to him, how much Scott Roth meant to Majuk Deng. It would surprise me if he leaves, but there will be a market out there for him.
Shout out to Majuk Deng.
Huge.
Because
He's big.
this time last year or in a few weeks into free agency, there wasn't that kind of market.
That's right.
For him, for whatever reason. But it was a savvy pickup by Scott Roth and the Jack Jumpers, and really well done to him to say, all right, you know what, 12 months later, I'm a guy that people
That probably
might have
motivated him as
say.
well when teams weren't
He
chasing.
fell to the Jack Jumpers. He wasn't someone who teams were proactively recruiting. He couldn't find a team, and he almost fell into their laps. And he ended up being their hero in Game 3 and was really big in Game 5 too.
Grand final. He loves grand
loves
finals.
it.
He loves the big stage, which is something that absolutely appeals to more than one club. Melbourne United. where to from here? Because when you get so close and you build a roster a particular way, there's always going to be, not upheaval, but at least major questions into an off-season. You know, some of these guys, we all see your man, Huck Porty, who wasn't going to be back anyway, wouldn't think. He's off to Germany, so he's taking him to the airport yet?
On a loan.
Have you dropped him off yet?
Yeah, he's on his way in a few days.
Okay, cool.
So similar situation to the Jack Jumpers, where they do have a lot of their core set. So Chris Golding, Daly, Shea Illy, Luke Travers. We'll see what happens with Luke Travers and a potential NBA deal in the future. The big question marks here are the Joe Lualichua Jr. player option, and then who fills those Ariel Hukporti shoes. Now, I don't have an indication yet on what the JLA player option is going to look like as far as which direction he's leaning. And then, the Hukporti one is huge because we saw throughout the season he was one of, if not their best defensive player over the course of the season. So replacing someone like that is significant. One thing I'll throw out there is with the Jack Jumpers, I don't think it's a certainty that Marcus Lee stays. And he played with United under Dean Vickerman. This isn't reporting, I'm just sort of throwing it out there. I wouldn't be against a Marcus Lee United reunion if he can maybe take unders on a contract and maybe fill that Hukporti role. I know that Marcus does want to stay in the NBL. He wants to. I think he wants to finish his career in the NBL. So if that's a team that wants him, I can see him fitting into that Hukporti role really nicely.
Yeah, Hukporti's heading to the draft. So he's going to go play back with his home team for the end of the BBL season. He's on loan, so he's essentially remains on contract with the next program. And then he's headed to the draft. And I think he was really, really impressive. I think if you're a smart NBA team in a draft like this, you snap him up in the second round, and then you bring him into camp and you can see what can be done. But the big questions are, what they do with that spot, but also the intrigue about Joe Lualichua and Ian Clark. Because Melbourne are going to want both those guys back, and it's really a decision about whether they want to return.
Yeah, and the JLA one is obviously on him. That's a player option. Ian Clark, there are teams around the league that are also interested in him. They're ready to make phone calls to Ian Clark because you see what he brings. The veteran gamesmanship, the shot making. He's a valuable piece to a potential championship team.
Luke Travers had a really good year, and I felt he had a really good playoffs. That also changes the conversation because if he does get picked up and the Cavs go, hey, we want you to come to the G League and have a two-way next year, then that may change the way they look at certain pieces around how they're constructing. Let's get to free agents and dates and all the rest of it because I know if you work around it smartly, like the New Zealand Breakers did a couple of weeks ago with the Taipans, you can already sign free agents. But outside of that, the rest of them have to wait. Options have to be confirmed this week. Sorry, is that this? No, it's next week, Thursday, the 11th of April. Then from the 12th, we are into it. And then it opens on Monday, the 15th of April. So there you go, how it all kind of sits. And here's the top free agents. Jordan Hunter, it's Sydney Kings, but been linked to Phoenix. Will McDowell-White's there, Jonah Bolden, Mitch McCarron. There's some high-class names on there, Olgun.
There are some impact guys. There aren't as many sort of local, high-level guys. No crazy marquee-level guys. You've got Bull Kowal and McDowell-White, who I think fit that mold. But last season we had McDowell-White, we had Keanu Pinder, we had Luke Travers. There are a lot more of those high-level guys. These are still impact guys, players who can come in and help you win a championship. So I'm intrigued where a lot of them end up. I think Geordie Hunter is one of the underrated ones there. This is an interesting period right now.
Who's the domino? Every time this year around this time, there's teams are all waiting for one particular guy or two guys' decisions that then trigger other signings. Is it Will?
Yeah, absolutely.
I don't think it's Will.
You don't think?
Because if you get Will McDowell-White, great. Like, good on you. You have your local point guard, marquee level guy. But if you don't get Will McDowell-White, then you just have all that money and just go get an import point guard. Right. So he's an easy one to replace. I think Bull Kowal is more of a swing guy because if you get him, awesome. You have your high level local who's not necessarily your star, but you've got your whatever DJ Vasiljevic was on those Sydney Kings championship teams, whatever Jack McVeigh was on these teams. I know he won the championship series MVP, but Milton Doyle was sort of their guy, and Jack McVeigh's a second or third guy. He's shown he could be a number one guy too. Bull Kowal is that as well. So if you don't get him, then you got to change up a lot.
Is he a Bondi type of dude, do you think?
Well, I think that he would most certainly enjoy playing in Sydney Kings colours.
I've reported that the Kings, the Phoenix, they're the two. They're the top two teams that'll be fine.
I think he'd like to spend Sydney Kings money. I think.
Oh, hello, there you go. Hey, man, you've been a hell of a season. Thank you, man. I appreciate it. You're going to, of course, Marketplace going to continue to go. NBL.com.au, ESPN, you're on fire. And I assume you'll be in Vegas on the junket with Liam at Summer League?
Of course. They both be
You
on
say
it.
junket like you guys pay for it.
That's also fair. Quick break. On the other side of it, we'll have our, well, way too early?
Way too early.
That's never too early to have a prediction for NBL 25, so we'll get to that next.
What's this? Oh, one art,
Gotta find a message.
It's unbelievable. We had a 4-hour meeting before the show started this season.
Wow.
He said, I want my own segment. I call it Can't Cope. I'm going to lose my mind. And we had Can't Cope in the first show of the year. And not until the last show of the year has it come back.
There's nothing to talk about. There's nothing to go
Nothing to talk about. It's the
There's
second best
something to
league
talk
in the
about
world.
now.
Take it away.
I'm not happy with. Look, fantastic season. The playoffs.
Hey, don't sugarcoat it, man.
No,
Just
I'm not
let 'em
sugarcoating.
get angry.
Playoffs were fantastic all the way through. But there were some mistakes made in this playoffs this year that shouldn't have been made. And it's the same mistake over and over and over again. Roll the tape.
Here we go.
Roll it. Listen, first of all, you never have the smallest guy on the floor take the ball out of bounds. You got to have a big guy.
little.
He's too little.
Mouse in the house.
Come on, man. Mouse in the house. And it ends up being a shot and a score. Then,
Little guy.
look, you got guys, it's helter-skelter. No one's setting screens. Everyone's just trying to get past their players. Put your 5-man on the floor and let them screen for your 1-man. If they switch, you got 2 opportunities to get the ball. And what happens? He knocks down a 3.
Yep.
And continues the series. Come on now. Here we go. What are we thinking here? You're throwing it out of bounds. It's going out of bounds. Come on. Are we kidding me? Another small guy. Cam.
That was a
Another
hell
small-
of a play by JLA, that one.
Again, here we
Hell
go.
of a
Here we
play.
go. Now, you notice Melbourne United have their tallest guy on the guy taking the ball out of bounds.
Yeah.
So you need a big guy who can see over the tall guy. Come on, Cam. You got to do better than that.
Well,
the series was great. The playoffs was great. The league is fantastic. But at this level, you can't have 4 of those in one series. You can't do it.
I can't believe the ambassador is so
I know.
high
Come
on
on,
that.
man.
Come on, man.
But there's no doubt teams
Am I
will
right
be.
or wrong?
You're right. Because there were major moments, but I think it comes. I'm going to be glass half full
here we
here.
go.
Here we go.
Get off
Defensive
the-
intensity down the stretch.
Get off the-
Shout out.
Come on, man. Get off the fence.
You're right, though. You bang on. Now,
Yeah.
I will say, everyone's getting upset that these passes are getting thrown towards the baseline.
Yeah.
Yep.
But we all know, as a player, if they're in that situation, if there is absolutely nothing on, you've got to throw it away from the other team's hoop, right? So
Throw it off.
they're going to have to go the length of the court. Now,
Yeah.
some of these teams were able to, like Milton Doyle saved it and Jack was able to go the length of the court. But if you throw it back towards halfway, you're opening it up for
Yeah.
him to get a breakaway.
Yeah, how do you phone the other way? They had 4.5 seconds from half court, Melbourne United, to change the result. But I do like it, and welcome back to that segment, man. I appreciate it.
Good stuff.
All right, way too early predictions. NBL 25. Hell,
Jeez, it's early.
I don't think Tassie and Melbourne have even had their MVP nights yet, but let's get into it. Copes, you go first.
Predictions. Championship. I'm going with Melbourne United. Here's why.
Oh, man.
Generally, when you lose a series
Yep.
or a championship, that next year you end up winning. It happened for me, so I'm just going
Are
on
you
what happened.
sour that they lost? Or
No, I
You
just think
alright?
it was a fantastic series
Yeah.
all the way through. The best team won, but I think because they lost in that way, they'll come back bigger and stronger next year.
You've done it.
Who's your MVP? You done it twice.
MVP.
You did it twice.
I've done it
right?
twice.
So it burns in your guts.
Burns in your guts.
Yeah.
You sit there and you watch them pick that big,
Yeah.
get their rings.
Yeah.
Some of us do anyway.
Yeah.
All right.
And to be fair, and then he knows about championship hangovers as well. Because,
True.
Of course.
True.
You would know too, because you like to party too. So don't.
I just don't have a championship to party for.
That's all right. Now MVP would have to go to. How can you go past Cotton? We do it every year. We say somebody else, and Cotton sticks his little head in there and goes,
Oh, his little head.
"Give me that trophy."
With his little tail.
All right, we got to be quick and talk to him. Who you got?
Hey, I got Tasmania.
Oh, back to back.
Oh, look at him trying to jump on the bandwagon.
Why not? Why not Tasmania? We saw the core that they've got locked away.
Yep.
They're there. They've been there twice, and they're in the grand final series. They've been in the semi-final series. They are that new team that is there year in, year out. under Scott Ross.
Dynasty.
Well, they're going to take some beating. And hey, you're right. If we're going to pick MVP this far out, there is no one else to say apart from Bryce Cotton. He's the guy you pick this far out. We'll see what other. Xavier Cooks is coming back in the league.
Yeah.
That's exciting. But Bryce Cotton's MVP until somebody takes it off him.
Cook scores it into the league. I think Sydney are going to be the team that are going to be celebrating in 12 months' time.
Wow.
Okay.
And the MVP will be DJ Burns Jr., who's currently playing at North Carolina State.
what?
Good luck
DJ
this
Burns
week
What?
in the Final Four. He'll either be in the NBL or the NFL.
Okay.
All right, so we'll see how that plays out. Big
right.
shout out to my man, Joel Justice,
Worst
who's the
pick.
associate head coach at North Carolina
Terrible
State as well.
pick.
As we go to the break, our man, Corey Homicide Williams. We know you're watching, brother. There's the past player well-being fund. I know you've got a huge player part to play in this too, Cope. So continue it and give as our man fights and fights harder than any human has ever done. So, Corey, we love you, mate. We're thinking of you. And as we go to a break, you got a Sanders watching?
Yes, sir.
It's next right here on NBL Overtime.
All righty. I get a chance to pick you apart.
Santa's watching, boys, and you know who we're watching? We're watching Jordan Crawford. Sit back, relax.
Lips a little dry.
Enjoy the Jordan Crawford. Lips are dry. Hello, Mum.
You needed it for that, yeah.
You had a great year. It was so fun to watch. A little airtime. Our man over the course of the season.
Love
He's
it.
got
So
the
good,
rhythm.
man. Yeah, he's good.
Hey, he's got the rhythm. We know he blew up in Game 5, and he was very, very fun to watch.
That's beautiful.
That's it. Just focusing on one person.
Hey, he blew up, didn't he blow
All
up?
right.
No, he did. He
That's
blew
right.
up. Now,
Well done.
before we get out of here,
Yep.
Yes.
I do have something I need to say.
Sure.
Yes.
Okay, so we have been here since 2018, November 2018. We have done over 200 shows. You have been great this year, Cope. Absolutely brilliant. Of course, we're thinking of our man Corey.
Yep.
We've known each other for 30 years, and this show has been a huge part of my life every Tuesday for NBL seasons. And I just want this to be an announcement to come from me and not from anyone else. I got myself a stinger! Fire it up, baby! Oh, yeah! Woo!
Retiring or something.
Now, I'll be honest when I say this. I haven't even done any questions. Are you ready for this? Hey, are you more confident of Tassie getting back to the grand final than Melbourne?
Yes.
Would Creek and Sobey be the best duo in the NBL if they were together?
No, you got to.
Is there a movie in this Jack Jumper's first 3 years?
Of course.
Was Crawford's Game 5 better than Cotton's Game 3 when he had 45?
No, it wasn't.
Will Xavier Cooks be the All-NBL first team next year?
Yes, sir.
Will Jack White play for Melbourne United?
No.
I'd play the Stinger again. See everybody next year.
Get your picture on it.